So what we have tonight, we have the current positions or the 2015 positions there under 2015, and then we have spots for 2016. So I guess the first thing we'll do is we'll start with the chair. Do we have someone nominate somebody who wants to be the chair?
I nominate Mark Shuey as chair.
Okay. Do we have a second to that nomination? Who caught that? Jill. Okay, Jill. All right, I guess discussion, Mark, willing to? I would accept. Okay. All right, so we have a motion, a second, and Mark says he'll accept. Any further discussion? No further discussion. Do we want to do this one? We'll do this one at a time. Okay, so all in favor, say aye. All opposed, same sign? Okay, Mark is the chair. So since you're the chair, I'm going to turn this over to you, and you can run over the rest of the positions. Is that okay?
You might have to turn yours off. Okay, so then Vice Chair Bill Leland currently, do I have a nomination for Vice Chair?
I'd like to nominate Julie Johnson.
Okay, is there a second to that?
I can second it.
Okay, any discussion? Would you accept?
I would.
Okay. Any discussion? No? Okay. So then we would need a motion to approve Julie as Vice Chair. My apologies. I thought that was for a nomination. Same thing? Okay. All right. So no other discussion. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Okay, Julie, congratulations. Clerk, Linda Laurie currently. Is there any motions to nominate a clerk?
I'll nominate Linda.
Okay, nomination for Linda. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Julie. Any discussion? All in favor, aye? Aye. Opposed, same sign. Okay. Linda, thank you. Treasurer, I'm assuming it can't be Julie. Don't know for sure, but I'm thinking she would decline. So do we have a nomination for treasurer?
I'll nominate Dave.
Nomination for Dave Klott. I'll second that. Dave, would you accept? Sure. Yes. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Okay, thanks, Dave. I think that's the officers then. So, all right, thank you very much. Standing committees, we have Finance, Policy Review, and Facilities. You can see those three that were there last year. Is there anybody that doesn't want to continue on those? I'll say it that way. Anybody have strong feelings that they'd like to not be on one of those committees, or would everybody re-up on those? Okay, so we'll leave those alone. And then the other duties that we have, you can see listed there as well. And I think the same question. Anybody that's would not continue, that would not like to continue?
I have not been able to make the Kirkland meetings, so if somebody would like to be there to represent the board, that would be great.
Okay. Bill's having, because of his schedule, the second Wednesday at 5 is problematic for him. Is there anybody else that would be able to do that time?
That's just every other month now? It used to be every month?
Yeah.
I could if nobody else.
That would be great. Okay. So we'll have Jill. Thank you, Jill. Any others that are problematic? Okay, I think that's the list then.
Okay, so then what I would ask is that you for the District Curriculum Committee, Jill Marine replacing Bill Leland, and all the other standing committees and representatives stay the same. Can we just get a motion to
So we need
that effect?
first by Bill. Is there a second? Any other discussion? Thank you, everybody, for your time. All in favor, aye? Aye. Opposed, same sign? Okay, thank you. Item 3.2, the board meeting schedule for 16-17, which is up on the boards. Any issues with those dates? Should be good. When's MEA this year? Well, I guess is that the same week of MEA, and does that matter? Should it matter, because it's the week before, okay. And will we need in November a meeting after the election, and
We will.
should we just wait till we get closer?
I think so.
And
We
do
can look
that?
at calendars then, and,
Okay,
yep.
because that would be Tuesday the 8th is the election, I'm assuming, is that right? Or Tuesday? So as we get closer, we have to have that, I can't remember the name of it, actually. Canvassing meeting within a certain number of days of the election. So, all right, so do we need a motion for that schedule? Yes. Okay, so we need a motion to approve that schedule. Is there a second? Second. Any discussion? All in favor, aye? Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. So items 3.3 through 3.9, which we'll take as a single board resolution unless a board member would like to speak about one individually. And I'm not going to read them again. They were out in the packet, but they are our annual designation of our bank and paper and authorizations for Dr. Funk and Lori. Any questions? Well, first, let's take a motion to approve those items, 3.3 through 3.9. First, is there a second? Second, thank you. Any discussion on those items? If none, all in favor, aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Item 4, study session. 4.1, Tanya Prouty's here to go over some curriculum for the ALC.
So Tanya spoke at the District Curriculum Committee last month on this curriculum called My Life, My Choice. And it's a pretty powerful curriculum, and she would like to be implementing this second semester. And so I told her I'm very supportive of the concept. However, before we move forward with it, I said I'd like the board to at least see what's going on with it on the front end. So that's what we have going on tonight. So Tanya, the stage is yours.
Yeah, turn your mic on, then I'll make sure the camera goes to you.
We on?
Oh, let me turn mine up.
Did it go to me? All right. All right. Thank you for having us. Yep, I certainly will. So as Dr. Funk already said, I presented to the District Curriculum Committee this past month before break about the opportunity for My Life, My Choice to be part of the ALC curriculum embedded with our health curriculum. And so I've been working with, I have to get used to this every time. I've been working with Dottie Hansi. I was approached this summer by the Freeborn County Crime Victims Crisis Center to look at getting this program running at the ALC. And so Dottie and I have been in communication since this summer looking at what that could possibly look like for our population of students. Additionally, I have Jennifer Lloyd Benson. She's also part of the Freeborn County Crime Victims Crisis Center. She's a trained instructor for the My Life, My Choice curriculum. Has worked with the Albert Lee Citizens Against Human Trafficking and also on the Minnesota Human Trafficking Task Force. And then Kim Shuey, who is also a trained instructor in My Life, My Choice. And so if we look at implementing this with the ALC students, Jennifer and Kim would be our individuals, that would be our trained instructors working. Our licensed staff person would already be our health and phy ed teacher, who I share with the high school, and he's with us in each morning. And so he would be our licensed instructor for our teacher, and then each of these ladies are trained instructors in the My Life, My Choice curriculum.
So, thank you for inviting us. So the mission of My Life, My Choice is preventing commercial sex exploitation of adolescents through survivor-led programs that educate and empower youth to find their voice and create a positive path while working to eliminate the violence and victimization of sexual exploitation. And we all know that even here in Albert Lea, even in Freeborn County, we've had some experiences with some sexual exploitation of not only adults, but also children. And so the program has a laser focus of strengthening the power and amplifying the voices of those who are most vulnerable. And the ALC kids, we think, are some of the most vulnerable students, and those who have survived sexual exploitation. It's a victim-centered mentoring, prevention, education, and advocacy. The My Life, My Choice is educating and empowering girls to find a positive life path and working to eliminate violence and exploitation. Did you want me to talk about?
I'll go ahead.
Okay.
What you're looking at next is the graduation incentives criteria, which is in Minnesota statute. I know you've seen this before when we've presented other ALC information to you, but what this is the criteria used to identify students to allow them to qualify to attend an ALC program. And so these are the 11 criteria laid out in the state-approved alternative program guide. And you'll notice that I pulled out 3 of those specifically that are highlighted in a different color there. And the reason I pulled those out is when you look through the My Life, My Choice curriculum and what makes students vulnerable or possible victims of sexual exploitation, are these three of these criteria fall under that, and that is individuals that have been assessed or have chemical dependency issues, students that have been a victim of physical or sexual abuse, and also students that have experienced mental health problems. These 3 criteria make some of our students at a higher risk than maybe your average student. And then we may say, again, why target that ALC student population? I again put those 3 pieces out there. But you don't always see those pieces. Those pieces are sometimes laying underneath what the actual presenting problem is. And so most of our students are coming to an ALC with a presenting problem at the time of their referral. And that is the student might be behind in completing their coursework or attaining their credits for graduation. So many of our students are significantly behind 7 or more credits. Oftentimes we get students coming in who are 20 credits behind. So that may be the presenting problem that we see on the outside. What is the underlying issues for some of these students? The other presenting problem that we see that's one of the criteria is that our students have withdrawn from school or are chronically truant. So again, that's the presenting problem, the piece we see, but what are some of the underlying causes for it? And are they experiencing 3 of these issues here that put them at high risk? Additionally, our state-approved alternative program guide says that ALCs should be providing a personal support service provision within their program. Again, these are all of the personal support services that the state is asking for ALCs to have included. Again, I highlighted the 3 that really tie into the My Life, My Choice, and that's a curriculum that promotes responsible behavior, specifically in areas such as chemical dependency, alcohol, tobacco, prescription drugs. It also looks at those nutrition and health habits, physical fitness habits. And then the third one on that is sexual practices and pregnancy prevention. So is the ALC promoting a curriculum that would help promote responsible behavior. The third one is abstinence from high-risk behaviors, a lot of those pieces that we'll be talking about this evening. And then thirdly, what we're looking at doing here is a collaborative effort with outside agencies and specifically working with Freeborn County and the Crime Victims Crisis Center. Next, we're going to look at specific to the My Life, My Choice curriculum. What are the objectives in that curriculum? Again, you'll notice that there are pieces that are bolded, and that's more just to look at how they maybe tie into the ALC population a little more directly. I should point out too, back on this one, sorry, I'm going to go back to, just as an interesting note, for our students with chemical dependency issues, I looked at what % of our population has either been assessed for chemical dependency or has self-reported chemical dependency issues. That's 35% of our students. I have one student that has self-reported being a victim of physical or sexual abuse that we're aware of, but again, we know there's some high-risk behaviors there. The mental health one, we have 31% of our students that have been assessed for mental health. And then the other one that's not up here as one of our necessarily the ALC student population, but I thought was interesting to look at our number of parents or expecting individuals, and that's 21% of our population. So I just thought it was interesting to look at how many students could this potentially benefit.
I'm going to let Jennifer talk a little bit because she has already completed a session of the My Life, My Choice curriculum with some ALC students. So I'm going to let her just briefly talk about some of the objectives and what she found to be relevant with the ones that she was serving.
Again, thank you for letting us come here. Before we start the curriculum, what we do is we give the kids a pre and post-test question, or pre or post questionnaire. We do not call it a test, it is a questionnaire. And it comes with different scenarios, and we have the kids answer the questions to the different scenarios that's happening. And then at the end, we have them do the test again, a post-test, to see where they have gained knowledge at. And so through the testing that we did, we found a lot of kids misunderstood, could not see what a pimp was recruiting, or that a girl was, being exploited with sexual. She just thought she had to do it because she just had to for this boyfriend. And so we were able to break that down, and at the end, they did a post-test, and they were able to recognize that they were being groomed, that they were being approached, that they're being watched, and the process of how a pimp works to recruit girls. The participants in this group, they are active, have activities that they do. They are not sitting in like a classroom doing anything. It's in a circle. And so it is all related to activities. So it's the girls sharing their voices in this. It's sharing their thoughts, their ideas when it comes to things. And it's up to us as the facilitators to give them the correct information. So that's what we do. We give them correct information. What a pimp looks like about the drugs. We had one girl, when we were doing the drugs, we have poster paper up on the wall, and then they have to break down what each drug does to their body. They have to get that figured out. And we had one girl in there, it was just covering her head and said, no, I don't want to hear this anymore. I take some of these, I don't want to hear this anymore. And we said, yes, this is your choice to ingest this drug. You need to know what's going to happen to your body once you do ingest this drug. And it is your choice whether you are going to continue on that way or not, and just the effects that it has on them. They are also given a journal. The girls write in their journals about the last 5-10 minutes of each group. And then as facilitators, we write back to that journal, to their questions. Sometimes we have questions in there. Sometimes they just say, you know, I learned a lot about this. And it's for those two that are also very quiet. And it gives them a chance to talk and to open up and to ask us several questions. We did have a girl that did ask, you know, this guy keeps wanting me to have sex with him. What do I do? What do I say? And then we could respond back to that, because she didn't want that, but she didn't know how to get him away from her. We had another girl that, towards the end of it, she disclosed that she felt, after seeing the red flags, that she was being groomed, and wasn't really sure what to do. What we do towards the end, they are given resources, they are giving numbers that they can call, contact information, so that they can come to that, you know, contact any of these people. We had one girl that was in an abusive situation. During her dating, during her journal, it sounded like the boyfriend was her best friend. And then when she came into class again, towards the end, she just said, yeah, he was threatening to smash my face. And I said, no. And she just broke it up. And that's because we believe that, because we talked what a healthy relationship is and what an unhealthy relationship. And the kids have to think of these things as they're going through it. So we're not telling them what to think. They have to think these things, and they have to tell us what a healthy and unhealthy relationship is, and then we just fill in the blanks. We had one girl, this is so funny, Dad pulled her out, and she had to come to the class. And she definitely looked like she rolled out of bed in her pajamas and came in. And the next day, she was there bright and early, hair up and all done, and she did good. So, and we had another friend helping another friend out. There was some lies that were being done between some boyfriends, and she just finally said, I am not going to lie. She goes, I have learned, if I'm going to be a good person, if I'm going to be helpful, I need to speak truth into somebody's life if I care about them. So we just saw a whole lot of great growth in the girls in the 10 weeks or it was 5 weeks, but we did it twice a week. A lot of growth in the girls. And a lot of confidence. There's self-esteem that we go through. There's just all kinds of different topics. But they are involved, and they have to participate. And so it's just really neat to see them speaking. And we can have a time where they have a question, so they have to go to the left side of the room or the right side of the room. And then we ask, why did you choose that? You know, tell us why you choose that. What was your thought process behind it? And then the other side, what was your thought process and what you did this? And it was neat to see, well, I never thought of it that way. You know, so they're talking this out amongst themselves as peers. So the peers are growing, helping each other to grow. And so that's been a really neat thing to see. We do have 2 girls that went through the course this past summer with us. We're hoping that depending how they're doing, that we'd like to have them be mentors, because they were definitely role models in the group. They stood out. They kept everybody in line, but their thought processes were so grown up and so mature that we just would like to use them to encourage them to build their self-esteem, because they are struggling. Their home situations are horrible where they're coming from. But this gives them a boost in their self-esteem and think, you know what, I can do this. And it gives them a future. It gives them hope. It gives them something, you know, if I can do this, I can do that, you know. So we look at building them each up, these girls, and to make healthy choices.
Okay.
And this curriculum is used in 23 states right now. Last year, in 2014, it is being well known in Minnesota. They did have trainer come from Boston, come here and train a lot of people in Minnesota. So it is being incorporated into schools, into detention facilities, treatment centers. The Rochester Alternative School is using this curriculum as well as Byron is using this curriculum. And Mission 21 in Rochester, they are work with children that are high risk, as well as those have been exploited, have used this curriculum as well and have found it to be really beneficial. And the schools are asking them to come back because they see a change in the kids, they see a growth. So that's what we want to do here.
All right. So some of the proactive stuff, we believe that we need to look at being proactive instead of reactive, because so many times that's what it ends up being. And what do we do when we're reactive? We kick kids out of school or they drop out. And that's not what we want, because once they're gone, they're gone. And we're going to end up paying for them one way or another, whether it is through the court system, law enforcement, many other areas, child protection. We're going to be paying for it. So in the long run, we believe we should be proactive. We're also looking at the idea that, have any of you heard of adverse childhood experiences, the ACEs? Yeah. And this also helps to cover some of those things, because there's a lot of those kids that go to the ALC who have experienced one or more of those adverse childhood experiences when they were growing up. And we believe that if we can look at trying to change some of those things now, we won't have to do it in years to come. So we really believe that this is a very good thing. I also have heard through the Minnesota Coalition of Battered Women that right now up at the state legislature, they are looking at bills to be introduced saying that the education needs to be provided a lot of this in the schools, and that they're looking at putting this in the schools. They're looking at doing something to prevent sexual abuse, domestic violence, and they're looking at making it something that has to be done.
So knowing what the My Life, My Choice curriculum includes as far as objectives and what Kim and Jennifer would be implementing in our school, what would this look like at the ALC? So what we're looking at doing is offering it embedded with our health curriculum. So the co-requisite course to the My Life, My Choice would be health. And again, we would have our licensed health teacher be a part of this. Our current health program has 5 units in it that are laid out there. You can see the body, health, nutrition and fitness, health maintenance, and responsible living. The portions covered in the My Life, My Choice curriculum could be exempt from the health curriculum. Would be Unit 2 has a mental, emotional, and social health component in it. My Life, My Choice actually goes more in depth in terms of covering each of those areas in social, emotional, and behavioral health. And then Unit 5, as in terms of responsible living, covers those drug awareness pieces, those chemical pieces that we've presented to you this evening, the STD piece as well for sexually transmitted diseases. This one. Absolutely.
So what does that mean? They have a choice between the health and the My Life, My Choice and the units?
Okay, so I'll show you on the next one, Jill, what that looks like. So potentially, whether we did this either quarter 3 or quarter 4, so I have it as quarter 3 and or quarter 4. The Crime Victims Crisis Center, the student requirement is a 2-student minimum to a 10-student maximum. And so I currently have 40 girls enrolled at the ALC. Of those 40 students, 10 of them need a health credit. So they would have the opportunity to take the health credit with the My Life, My Choice if they believe that this is something that would benefit them, and that would be a conversation that I would have with the student and the family. If the student is 18 or under, we would definitely have that conversation with the parent as well, if that would be something that they would benefit from. Of those 10 students that need a health credit, more than half of them display at-risk behaviors. I laid that out today just because, again, I was interested in knowing, and 7 of them have 1 or more of those at-risk behaviors that this My Life, My Choice curriculum could definitely target some of their needs. As far as who covers what does this look like when the Crime Victims Crisis Center comes into our school? They'll provide any of all non-technology related supplies. They cover the salary of Jennifer and Kim. We would have to provide access to the classroom, the computer projector, all of those pieces which are already in place in our school. It's not any extra burden on our school or our staff at all. And then we already have the licensed health phy-ed teacher in our building for that time of day. So again, it's not an extra burden on us at all. We're already covering the cost of that teacher. Right now, the way I have it with the co-requisite piece with the health phy-ed, if I can pull out those 2 units from the current health curriculum and replace it with the My Life, My Choice, that would be worth an equivalent 1 credit for that health piece. I would really like to, down the road, find a way to have enough meat in My Life, My Choice to have it be an elective credit. That's something Kathy and I visited with briefly on what more would we need to do to offer this opportunity to more than just the students that need health credit. Right now, I think we can make this work and meet all of the standards for the health curriculum by doing it this way, but would like to be able to explore it as an elective credit down the road.
A week then, or is this just incorporated into the regular health class and then they go to a different classroom this one day of the week?
So what I'm looking at doing, Dave, is I want to, with the health class that they currently have, that class meets 5 days a week. Our class is set up in a block schedule. And so the plan is to meet from 8:15 to 9:56 daily, and then 1 day a week have these ladies come in and be a part of that health class. And so they would meet for 9 to 10 weeks, whatever the duration of the semester is, to get through the curriculum pieces here. As she said, they did it in the summer. Normally it would be a 10-week program, but they did twice a week for 5 times. So those 10 sessions, we're going to be able to meet an equivalent of that embedded into our already scheduled health class. Any other questions?
Other questions?
Training, I'll talk to the board a little bit about what the training you went through as far as becoming a facilitator for the students, so that they're a little bit aware of.
With the training I've been through, I've been working with trafficking in that area for 3-4 years. I've been to multiple trainings. I was working with the Mission 21 in Rochester. I was on the communication education team, so I went around and did education to the communities in Rochester area and everywhere else. Just a few weeks ago, I was at a training in the cities called GEMS. GEMS is an organization in New York that does training and works with exploited girls and at-risk girls, and so did a 3-day training there. And then with this My Life, My Choice.
Yeah, more specifically
Yeah.
on the My Life, My Choice
The
piece.
My Life, My Choice, I went to that training in Boston. Minnesota has a regional navigator, or several regional navigators that work with sexual exploitation. And ours is Laura, she's in Rochester. And her and I went to the training in Boston together, and then had the day of training there with them. And
So-
they're the ones that wrote this curriculum.
I had the same question. So if we wanted to get, because you may be sick one day and you're on vacation, I mean, if we had some volunteers that come forward and said, we'd like to be licensed instructors to fill in, what do those people have to do?
They would have to go through that training.
Which is,
So
I mean, but tell me, is that 4
Boston-
days, 20
It
days,
was a
thousands of
one-day
dollars?
training.
So
One
it's
day of training, but you have to know the background of what sexual exploitation is, what human trafficking is. You can't just go in not knowing what human trafficking is.
Right.
You have to be aware.
And it's
You
only
have
in
to-
Boston?
only-
No.
We went to in Boston. The state of Minnesota had some grant money, and they flew in the ones from Boston to Minnesota.
Right.
And so it was just geared for Minnesota people only that could take this. Whether they would do that or not, I don't know, because they had the grant money to do this at that time. That's what they did. But I went to Boston and had the training done there.
Right, right. I and Kim, as well as my other coworker, Andrea Maurer, were all trained over in Mankato to do the My Life, My Choice curriculum, so.
And Amy.
And Amy Geyer also.
Okay. Julie?
Is there plans for the future to look at components for our young men and our boys
Yes.
with this curriculum, because I think it's wonderful, and I think we all support being proactive, but I think our boys and young men are such an important component of this that they need to be hearing the message of, respect and relationships and expectations and all of those things. So I was just curious to know if there are plans in the works for our boys and young men.
There is currently being developed a curriculum just for boys or men. I have not seen that whole curriculum as of yet, nor have we been trained in that as of yet. But it would be something that we definitely would like to look at in the future. We at CVCC would welcome even coming out to the high school, going to middle schools. We also believe that some of these kinds of things even need to be addressed in elementary schools, such as what's a good touch? What's okay to say, yeah, you can touch this part of my body, but you can't touch that part? We used to be a part of the good touch, bad touch, but that's no longer exists, because we believe that if we can stop some of this at an early age, then we're not addressing it later on. So,
And we do
yeah.
have somebody, his name is Alex Peterson, who is in Rochester, that is doing the men's, or the curriculum, is building that, and he will come teach it. So that's already been acknowledged that he would come do that. And it's a 4-week, believe it's a 4-week that he is doing. But like Dottie said, he's developing that right now, but he's willing to come teach that.
I agree that there are a lot of great pieces of this, and I was thinking also of the younger population. Tanya, what ages do you have at the ALC?
So, students to attend the ALC are 9th grade through age 21. Right now, I have one 9th grader, so the majority of my students are 15 to 21, and roughly 40% of my students are over the age of 18.
Other questions or comments? What about, I had a question I just wrote down. What for our non-teacher staff, so the volunteers that come in, or from the crime victim, what legal duties do you have to report suspected abuse of a child?
We do have to report.
You do, okay, all right.
And
They
the
are-
girls are disclosed, they know that right up front when we talk to them and talk about the program. It's automatically put up front, so they are aware that there is no secrets. We want to be as trustworthy as we can be, and that's just plainly brought out. So yes, we do, we are mandated reporters.
Yes, they are.
And in some of the other states, is this, I think doing in the ALC is great. I'm a complete supporter of it. I also like the comments about, can we get it to all of our students sometime in some fashion? Is that already happening in other places where it's part of the mainstream curriculum?
Not in Minnesota that I'm aware of.
No, not that I'm aware of either in Minnesota. I know it's something that they are looking at trying to do, whether it's through My Life, My Choice, or looking at addressing it through other curriculums in health classes, relationship building, those types of things.
The data that we have for My Life, My Choice is just from them, because they have been doing this since 2003. The groups have been facilitated in middle schools, high school, housing developments, group homes, residential programs, teen parenting programs. So they have been doing it in schools already, it just has not been done here yet, that we are aware of in Minnesota. So it's already in schools.
We're looking at putting it in with our curriculum. We're looking at putting it in with our curriculum so that we can embed it and offer credit to our students as well. But the Crime Victims Crisis Center, and they can also do like presentations to your school. I know Jennifer and I were talking before the meeting today where they've gone into schools and presented things such as, can I be your friend? You know, that's something that's very relevant from even late elementary age up through high school, you know, so looking at some of those social media pieces and whether or not that's appropriate for kids or not. So even if it's not necessarily embedded into your curriculum like we're looking at doing at ALC, there are opportunities for us to explore it in other ways with our district as a whole, if that's something we want to look at.
Justine and Quinn, do you have any comments or thoughts?
Okay, great, great. When Tanya was addressing us going into schools, we were asked to go in and present at Alden Conger. And so that's what we focused it on is when you befriend people on social media, and how many people don't have Facebook stuff, how many kids don't have Facebook, and it was very interesting to find out how many were on Facebook, how many friends on Facebook? Do you know all of these people? Okay, so if you do, fine. If you don't, maybe you need to look at it. We also found out when we addressed that in the Alden Conger School, one of the teachers came forward and said her daughter had been asked over social media to come and meet this particular person. Later on, she found out that this person was a predator and that he was out there trying to get young girls and was taking and meeting them in another place and then would whisk them off to another town. So when I say it happens here, I am serious. It happens here in Freeborn County. We just maybe don't know all of it.
Yeah?
I think this is an awesome thing because it's not only in ALC that we have these problems, and all my friends have social media, and I know a ton of my friends have been, a lot of my friends are private, but they get asked by interesting people, get followed or however that happens, friended. And I think also sexual abuse and physical abuse happens in normal high schools and not just ALC, so I think this is
I agree.
something that could be expanded, and it's something that's kept in the dark a lot, so. I'm for this.
Thanks. And this is going to be construed by some of our fellow citizens as controversial because it has the SEX word in there. And I think that's why Mike wanted us to hear it so that we know what it is and what it isn't. Because we will get calls about it. I can just tell you personally that I'm completely supportive of it, and I think it's wonderful. It's, you know, it's out there, it's cutting edge, and we ought to be doing more of it. So I'd like to see it get into the mainstream curriculum when we can do that. But I think it's important that we all hear about it because we will get calls about it, and we just need to be able to articulate what it is and why we support it. So.
I know the social worker that had us come out to Alden School for their Courage Day recently, she sent an email back, and she heard back from parents that were very positive about it because kids went home and started talking to their parents about it. So it opened up a communication way, which mainly probably may not have been brought up and opened up. So they didn't have, as far as I know, did not have any resistance at all. All she was saying is she's had really good feedback from the parents.
Other comments or questions? All right, thank you very much. Thanks for coming. And then we're going to adjourn. Just a reminder that our next meeting is on a Tuesday, not on a Monday. And then the
MSBA conference?
MSBA conference is,
Wednesday, what day? Okay. And again, I'll take a look at what's up, what looks interesting out there and shoot you something sometime in the next few days. And so I think we have everybody, Ashley, everybody's going the 2 days? Okay, we got a wheelchair for Dave? All right, we'll see what we can do. Okay.